Terry Young here from Basecamp Consulting. In recent days, I've been thinking about a particular question that I want to pose to you. It's a question related to the tools of our trade, or the tools of your trade, whatever that trade might be. In the ministry world, we have available to us all kinds of tools. A lot of the tools that we are drawing upon in more recent years are relatively new tools. I'm surrounded by tools here. I've got a computer behind me. I'm on a computer right now in front of you. I have a cell phone, and on that cell phone, I have apps. I have connection kind of things. I have the ability to link up with social media, to find out what social media is sending my way, and perhaps using social media to send the message that I want to send out someone else's way. And so we have all kinds of tools. I came across a statement a couple of days ago from a book entitled Hardwired or High Altitude Leadership. And they were talking about the potential danger of holding on too tightly to our tools. And they made this statement that dead climbers and bankrupt companies are often found grasping great tools. I've been listening to a lot of conversations recently about the need for digital tech as one of the vital keys for ministry in the post-COVID era. It certainly was something we drew upon during COVID, but it seems that the urgency is even ramping up more, that you need to develop your digital strategy. You need to have digital tech. And this is a vital tool that is going to allow us to minister in the world emerging before us. I take issue with that premise. Remember, dead climbers and bankrupt companies are often found grasping great tools. And we need to stop and ask ourselves if digital tech is going to be the thing that saves the day, or keeps the drive alive, or allows us to keep moving forward in this world of ours and having impact effectiveness on the lives of people. I hear it talked about in terms of this is our connection vehicle. This is how we connect with people. We do so through social media. We do so through Instagram. We do so through TikTok. We do so through Twitter. We do so through other social media platforms, whether it's Facebook or YouTube. Because our assumption is that the people that we are seeking to not just reach, but the people that we are seeking to help form in ministry terms in the way of Jesus are people who are sitting at their desks monitoring and accessing everything that is sent out their way by way of TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. I would be curious. I think I'd be fascinated to know what the metrics really are. I know people around me, and I know people in my own ministry journey, and as far as I know, there isn't a high percentage of them that are sitting with bated breath at some social media platform knowing what my church leaders are going to say next. And we have bought into a kind of premise. Digital tech is what we need. A sidebar question here is, what would we do if our digital access was ever limited or throttled back or eliminated? We tend to think, well, that could never happen. There are those who write about the kind of progressive nature of government hegemony and the issue of government oversight and the government watching and the government now telling people there's a lot of people out there who are spreading disinformation, misinformation, malinformation, and that mis, dis, or mal category, those categories are not defined by some objective standard. They are defined by people in power. And it is possible that we are going to experience what one writer refers to as eventually a digital gulag of sorts. The new totalitarian kind of mechanisms and actions are not going to be sending people away to camps, but rather having ways of silencing people who are not thinking and saying and believing and valuing the right things. We have assumed that our tools will ever remain fully accessible to people of faith and people of truth and people of God-honoring values. And I believe we need to take a step back and ask ourselves, what will happen when? Because I don't think it's a matter of if. What will happen when there is intervention at the level of saying what you teach, what you proclaim, what you preach, what you put forward in all of the wonderful social media platforms that you have told churches to build up and build up and build up? We have determined that what it is you communicate by way of your beliefs and your values and your morality and your ethics, all of those things are contrary to societal values. And they are hurtful, they are violent, they are racist, they are homophobic, they are, and the list goes on and on and on. And it doesn't matter what you do by way of saying, well, wait a minute, that's not really who we are. It doesn't matter. We've all seen that by now, that there can be a silencing, a canceling, there can be a muting that can happen overnight. And so my muse is what are to be our tools. We have grasped with both hands the tools of technology. And I'm not saying that there isn't some purpose and use of those things. I'm not a Luddite. I'm not a neo-Luddite. I'm simply asking, we've grasped these tools, but dead climbers and bankrupt companies are often found grasping great tools. Our tools won't save us. And I wonder these days if we've taken our eye off of the human touch in favor of the digital technology. Tech seems to override our thinking about touch. We think our tech touches people. But the fact of the matter is, when you do send out a 15-minute encouragement or on a YouTube channel or a Facebook or through a social media platform, your assumption is that that touch is really reaching people and they're watching you in the total 15 minutes. We have no idea of knowing. And yet we make assumptions that we've made 50 touches this week or 100 touches this week with our digital tech. And it may be there isn't any touch at all. It may be that it was received like all the other hundreds of social media things are received as sound bites. And they never get down deep into people's souls and minds and hearts, because I think it turns out that we often need a human touch. We need someone in the room in the conversation with us to go a bit deeper about, now, how does that relate to my life and your life, and what do we do with it? So this is my musing. Basecamp Consulting these days is an enterprise that we're seeking to figure out, how do we help leaders and people rediscover a base camp, a human touch, a human connection, a band of brothers, a band of sisters, a secure base, a holding environment that can journey with you through the days of your week and can be stealth-like, flexible, adaptable in the face of anything that happens in the outside world around us. This is the genius of our brothers and sisters in countries that have lived under totalitarianism for decades. The church has thrived absent the tools of human technology. They have thrived in contexts of suffering and trauma and persecution and shut down and shut up. They've thrived because they have kept at the center the human touch. We're wondering these days if we are not in need of a wholesale refocus on places and spaces where men and women, young and old, can find connection, community, and true conversation with one another about matters of faith and life, and encourage one another and help one another with matters of clarity, matters of agility, matters of integrity, matters of durability, resilience, and also matters of generativity, of life-giving. So we need to think about our tools, because I think sometimes we think of them not as the servants they need to be. We think of them as the masters of our fate. And they're not the masters of our fate. They must not be the captain of our ship. They are something that may serve us in some way, but if we lost them tomorrow, we need to be at a place where we wouldn't miss a beat. And I fear we have so thrown in our investment of time, energy, and focus on digital tech that if it were to go away, we would look around and say, where is the human touch? And we would begin to get back to square one of building body life, one another living, people in spaces and places where they can practice the one another's for the sake of one another. And in that, building robust, resilient faith that isn't dependent upon a screenshot or a soundbite or a minuscule point of reference that is thrown out there into the Twitter sphere or Facebook or YouTube or wherever it might be. Because I think there's a lot less going on there than we think. Because people are tired. They're weary. They're getting fed up with digital tech. They're realizing how actually corrupt it is at its very core, how ideological it is at its very core, and how unsatisfying it is as some kind of meal or morsel of something. I think we yearn as human beings for true connection. That's what I'm putting forward. That's what I hope for, and I think that's where a larger conversation is needed. So I'm Terry Young, Basecamp Consulting, and perhaps this muse will prompt in you some thoughts, maybe some pushback. Maybe for you, you think I am a Luddite or neo-Luddite, or I just have something against social media. I really don't. I just fear that we could be like dead climbers or bankrupt companies one day grasping great tools, but we're done. We need human connection. We need human touch. And if you have digital tech, make sure that digital tech is what fuels, what fosters, what prompts, what encourages the human touch. See you along the way.